This is Ron Finkelstein, and welcome to the Institute for Business Growth. This Sales Accelerator podcast was created to share best practices that allow businesses to grow sales and increase revenue. Each week, we have an expert on who has implemented specific strategies and tactics and programs in their business that resulted in phenomenal sales growth and increased revenue. As a reminder, go to instituteforbusinessgrowth.org and download your free report, 11 Reasons People Won't Buy From You. Again, instituteforbusinessgrowth.org. This week, I'd like to introduce Fernando Bertero from company Fully Promoted / Embroidme. Welcome, Fernando. Can you tell us a little bit about you, your company, and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Fernando Bertero from Fully Promoted and Embroidme. So we are a one-stop shop for promotional materials, embroidered, screen printed, garment printed apparel, award programs. We also work on lead generation programs as well as paper printing. So we're a full house of promotional materials.
Great. That's a very competitive field. Pricing and margins are very, very tight typically in that field. Tell us about a situation where you've really addressed sales growth and how you handled that, and what are the plans you put in place to address it?
Okay, yeah, good question. So our company has grown fairly well in the past 4 or 5 years, year over year. From last year to this, from previous year to last year, it kind of stagnated a little bit. So what we did was, we felt the need to increase sales, and evidently, going to translating those into profits. So good challenge, but also a great opportunity. So what we started doing is we did we stepped back a little bit, and the first thing we did do is assess what our core values are. Okay? And I'll just name a few. The first one is really being truth and honest, not only with ourselves, but with our customers. The second one is quite interesting, is having fun, because this is a fun industry, right? So if we can't have fun with our customers and vice versa, we don't have a good match, so we want to have fun with our customers. And third one is evidently the attention to detail, right? The attention to detail in our company, in our market, in our customers is very, very important.
So let me ask you a question. I'm playing devil's advocate here because I know the answer to this, but I want you to tell us, why are core values essential in this process for you?
Oh, they drive everything we do. They drive what we do. They drive who we target. They drive how we deal with things when they go wrong, right? It's paramount to what we do. If we cannot have attention to details, if we cannot have fun, if we cannot be true and honest with ourselves and our customers, we lose credibility. We don't believe that we can grow. It's what we are. It's our DNA.
So it's almost like the benchmark in which you test things.
Absolutely.
And that's how I use it. That's why I was saying I know the answer to that. But a lot of people don't understand the value of getting really clear on what's important to you.
So in internal discussions, and even with customers, we're very open about this, right? If I didn't pay attention to detail for whatever reason, it's my problem. And we always circle around back in what went wrong, right? And if our customers, happened this morning, a customer wanted to do a job, he was in a rush, I took the job and I called him back and I says, do you really want me to put your logo without having your phone number underneath on the trade show you're going to go next week? Oh, thank you for that. So it's attention. He wasn't thinking.
Oh, sure. He's got other things
to do.
Sure.
So it's a small example of attention to detail. He would have noticed when he got the materials, but then it was too late. So that's what we do.
Outstanding. So let's go back to the next step after defining your core values was what?
So we did a thorough 80-20 analysis of our customers. So we divided, A, B, and C customers. So 80% of our revenue, our A customers, represent 80% of our value of our revenue, and really 20% of our customers. And we spend, and then you got the B customers, which is about 15% of the revenue, and then the C customers are about 5% of the revenue. So what we find is that we spend about a third of our time with A customers, a third of our time with B customers, and a third of our time with C customers, right? So as a result of that, I'm spending, or my people are spending, 70% of their times on B and C customers and only 30% of the time in A customers, and really zero time growing and prospecting more. That's what it comes down to. So we implemented strategies and tactics to ensure that we increase the share of market penetration in the A customers, right? Or we help them grow, and as a result, we grow with them. Mm-hmm. We implemented a maintain and grow tactic with the B customers, and quite frankly, we're paying very little attention to the C customers given the nature that we have in our business. Either they are not part of our target market, right, or they have not chosen us as one of their preferred vendors. So therefore, we'll treat them, in the C category.
Well, any good marketer would say that you want to put a plan in place to move your C customers to Bs, mm-hmm. and your Bs to As. Mm-hmm. Do you have a plan in place to do that, or are you just going to focus on your A customers?
So, yeah, we took a look at those. So there are a select group of our B customers that we believe we can move to becoming A customers, either because they're growing or because we don't have 100% or a significant share of wallet of what we provide to them. So there's an opportunity. But given the profile of the customer, we have a storefront. Typically, our C customers represent walk-ins. So that is typically, there's no really opportunity for an individual or somebody to come in and become a B or an A customer unless it's really a lead for a larger business. But we typically pick that up fairly quickly. So we have different strategies and tactics in place to identify those.
Okay, so what are you going to do to focus on your A customers to become more of, I think you said, pocket share, which is
what I call share of wallet.
Share of wallet.
Share of wallet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we want to be sure that we have strong relationships. We want to be sure we are managing their events and what they use for them.
Well, everybody talks about building strong relationships. Mm-hmm. Do you have a strategy in place that says when we do this, we strengthen the relationship?
It's people-to-people business, right? We do business with people who we like and trust, mm-hmm. and vice versa. So the community is very closely knit that we're in. It's the challenge to us is how do we break in some of those that already are in place. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of reciprocity in how we deal with, and how we go to market, and how we build those relationships. We're very present in all the chambers of commerce, B&Is locally here. I personally, as part of my expansion strategy, I've joined a company, Greater Cleveland Partnership, Cozy, WireNet. I'm missing somebody. It'll come to me.
That's right.
Okay.
Just for our listening audience, just so you know, B&I is a professional referral group. Mm-hmm. So it's if you've been part of B&I, you'll see the value. If you don't, please check it out. It's well worth it. Mm-hmm. So you're really expanding your footprint in terms of visibility as part of your marketing strategy.
Exactly.
There.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
How is all this effort you're doing manifesting itself in terms of the goals you're trying to achieve?
So first of all, we put in place goals, which we didn't have. So we created a 10-year plan, 3-year plan, 1-year plan, financial plans. The farther you get, the more visionary it becomes.
It's pretty fuzzy when you get 10 years out.
But as we get closer to the 1-year plan, we have a very clear 1-year plan, and that 1-year plan is broken down by month, by quarter, by month, and by week. So a couple of tools so we have targets, and we started utilizing very aggressively our CRM, our mm-hmm. Customer Relationship Management tool. We're using it basically as a prospecting tool. The moment the prospect becomes a customer, we log it in another system. Or if there's a discussion back and forth, a conversation back and forth with a existing customer on some project, we're also logged, because that's always a customer touch, right? either an email, phone call, text message. We log that, and what we're trying to do is, get to a certain level of activity, either prospecting or new customers, prospecting or existing customers, and we're tracking that on a weekly basis. And we have, each one of us has targets, yours truly included, that we need to achieve every single week.
I'm going to ask you probably an unfair question.
Absolutely.
But I do a lot of sales and marketing with my clients, and I like to put a sales pipeline in place, which means that how do we move them from suspect to prospect to customer? And that whole pipeline is measured in certain steps. Do you have a similar kind of tool that you've used in the CRM to move them through your sales process?
Our CRM process tool is not integrated to our point of sale or ERP system. So we struggle a little bit with that, to be, very, very clear. When we do identify a pipeline number, that's because it is at a higher level or a deeper level of degree of implementation anyway. So at that point, we do have like a fairly lengthy quotation list, but from prospect to quote, at a prospect level, I really don't know what that company or that individual wants, unless it comes to a point where I can measure it. Then it's already a project. Then it goes into my quotation list. So it goes from nothing to something fairly quickly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's just the nature of our industry.
Well, people
Makes sense?
Well, it does, because when they buy products, I would assume they need it for the trade show next week or the company picnic a month out or whatever. So
absolutely,
response time is essential.
Yes, and it's difficult to measure. We have a lot of our AA customers. Some of them I know, some of them I don't, because it varies from year to year what they're going to need in May, right? So come April, I give them a call saying, hey, last year you did this in May. Are you going to do that again? Oh, I'm glad you called. So there you go, from customer with zero activity to customer with activity. So that's just the nature of how we do business.
Have you, one of the things I like to do with some of my clients is have the sales team work with the management team of the customer and say, what are your expected purchases for the year, and how can we plan for that to, one, get you better price, two, be more responsive. Do you get into that level of planning with your customers?
Not yet. It's something we need to probably put a marketing program around. A lot of our customers do have repeat business. I haven't figured out a organized and cohesive way to do that, other than what I just described. We know customer X, it has an event in May. Therefore, it's the 15th of April. I'm going to call them and say, hey, we do have that planned out, but not closely enough with that customer other than this touch point.
So what have you learned going through this process? What is your big takeaway here?
Metrics, tactics and metrics. You can only improve what you can measure.
That's true. What you measure is what you pay attention to.
Exactly. So we're measuring, we got three basic metrics. It's touch points. It's evidently sales, work in progress, quotes, and touch points, right? So from the bottom up, I'm pushing fairly heavily on touch points, okay? And moving the needle, there's internal resistance, although we're a small company. There's internal resistance on certain individuals to adopt the CRM and the touch points. Right? Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Why do I need to log that phone call? Because it's a touch point. Mm-hmm. But it may not result in anything. It's a touch point, right? So it's changing that culture. It's easier because we're a smaller enterprise, so it's easier to basically, you will do this, please.
It is never easy to change a culture of a company. It is
one of the family business is even more difficult sometimes.
It is. It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever tried to do in companies. So I admire you for changing that, tackling that project and changing it.
Yeah, it's results are beginning to show, right?
Well, Well, that's a good transition point.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit
Yeah.
about the results you're getting from all the
So
changes you've implemented.
Yeah, we went through this 80-20, this core value. This is all documented, by the way. It's a very, it's all documented. It's very clearly set in stone. And we started implementing this really end of February, beginning of March. March showed good results, 15% year-over-year sales increase.
That's a good result.
That's a good result. April is panning out. Yesterday I did some quick math. It's looking like it's going to be 12 to 15% a year-over-year increase. So that's good. And it's difficult to project moving forward because our business is all discrete orders.
Mm-hmm.
So we typically have a visibility of maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So at this point, I have very little in May. But, it typically comes in. If I measure it today, we had a lot of activity this morning. If I measure it today, it probably already shows some activity coming into May based on what I've seen. So it looks positive, but we want to get significantly more aggressive. I'm not happy with only 15%. So I
don't know a business owner that would be.
Exactly.
Those are good numbers, but
no, exactly.
Two questions. Mm-hmm. One is, how long were you in the planning process before you started implementing?
So I kind of dove in head first because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what the shortcomings were. And I just needed a way to put data in front of a couple of the stakeholders to show them this is what we're doing wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they knew, but they couldn't particularly identify what to do to get out of it. So I would say it took me about 2 weeks of number crunching and getting my thoughts together. My business partner is my wife. So we did a lot of headbutting. We did a lot of very good, some positive, some negative discussions around, what we should do as a business. We seeked inputs from other partners and companies that we have, right? We asked for inputs and asked for candidate inputs. So we took those into account. So I would say, about 3 to 4 weeks before. In 3 or 4 weeks, we had 80% of what we wanted to do, and it took us about maybe another 4 weeks to finish the other 20%.
Not unusual.
And every week as we go through the metrics, we identify issues, we improve the metrics, we improve the dashboard, we eliminate redundancies or, quite frankly, stupidity, and we add things that we feel are more relevant. So it's a evergreen process for us in terms of how we achieve the growth that we need to achieve.
Okay, the second question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a correlation between touch points and business? In other words, if I touch a customer 18 times, on average it takes 18 times to touch a customer to get a piece of business. Or have you gotten that metrics down yet?
I haven't gotten that metrics down yet. I'll tell you what I am doing from suspect to prospect, right? If I go to a networking event, let me pick an example. I was introduced to a potential prospect, and he was very open to discussing points with me. And I've had so far 4 touch points, attempted touch points with this individual, and I have not been able to get any response. So it's really like a cold call / warm call environment. But I'm stubborn and I'm persistent, and this is something I instill in our people. They're busy. We're not their priority. Let's not be a pest. Phase it out, give it a month, come back and touch again. So I don't have that metric yet identified.
That is a powerful metric.
Yeah, the issue is, I probably want to hear more a little bit of why that is
well, I have one client, and I won't go into too much details.
Sure.
But we know for every 1,000 people he touches, as an example, and I'm keeping it vague on purpose.
Okay.
he'll get 500 appointments, and we know for every 500 appointments, he'll get 250 pieces of business. The only thing that he can change is the number of touch points or his close rate. So the higher the close rate, the less touch points needed. The lower the close rate, the higher the touch points. So he can totally control how much money he makes based on those simple metrics.
Yeah, I haven't figured that. I understand the logic. I understand the touch points. I haven't figured out the amount of touch points I need to have to how many appointments. I wish it was as good as 1,000 to 500 to 250. In our industry, it's not that good. It's much less. So it's very time consuming. And I always struggle with how do I get more efficient at touch points, right? But one of the other things that I know is I could hire a cold calling company, right? But I would be probably throwing money in the wind. I would rather have a network introduction. As you expand your network, you gain trust of your network, and vice versa.
That's right. Absolutely.
Given our background, a lot of people come to us, for different types of questions, and I often help people with very simple things like, a BNI member asked me the other day, "Can you help me with QuickBooks?" So yeah, I said, give me a call and I'll set you up, and we'll go over for a couple of hours. Let's have a pizza at your shop, and off we go, right? So it's not even a customer of mine; it's a BNI member. So I don't care. I help, and
that's where relationships are built.
Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help, and I'm more than happy to donate my time in terms of help. That's what we do. So I haven't been able to figure out the touch points to appointments to closer yet, but
it'll come.
It'll come. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up a little bit. Let me summarize what I think I heard. Sales were stagnated, and you needed to do something different. So you evaluated your customers, did the 80-20 rule, found out who your highest value customer was, and that's where you're spending your time. So as a result, you identified core values to drive your behavior, and you implemented goals so that you can measure weekly, monthly, quarterly goals. Is that a pretty fair summary?
Yeah. In addition, we identified target customers. So we identified, what type of customers we want to target to create what I call a plus environment to our company and move the needle in terms of transaction, dollars per transaction.
Sure. Outstanding. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Is there anything you would like us to know before we wrap this up?
No, I think it's important that every company has a written plan, a documented written plan, thought through. I can offer to share what we've learned in the process. Just get in contact with me at any time, and I'll be more than happy to do that.
Why don't you give the listeners your phone number, website, whatever makes sense for you?
Yeah, so our company, again, the official name is Embroidme in North Olmsted. Our phone number is 440-716-8899. I can be reached at fbbertero at embroidme-northolmsted.com. And as an additional point is we are changing our branding because Embroidme is kind of limited in terms of product offering. We're changing it from Embroidme to Fully Promoted, where we have a full line of marketing and products and services to our businesses, our partners.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
If you want to learn more about how you can apply these best sales practices in your business, go to the instituteforbusinessgrowth.org and download your free report, 11 Reasons People Don't Buy From You.